So thank you so much for your time today, Matt.
Thank
In
you.
fact, I'm going to start again once you've once you've finished your medal. Excellent.
Okay, I'm clear.
Great. Okay, good. Um, Matt Hranek, thank you so much for joining us today.
My
Uh,
pleasure.
Thank you so much. Um, for those of our audience who don't know who Matt Hranek or WM Brand Project, who the WM Brand Project are, can you tell us who you are and what you do?
So I am currently the editor founder of WM Brown Magazine, which kind of started as a blog like in '08, essentially, and kind of evolved into this kind of print media idea of what it is today, just sort of out of necessity more than anything else. I had 30 years under my belt as a photographer and shifted gears and got more into the content creating thing, which I thought was more valuable than the recording of it. And, had a big spell in kind of legacy publishing, mostly at Condé Nast.
Mm.
And William Brown or WM Brown Magazine is I don't know, the reaction to my time in the magazine world as a photographer and then as an editor. And basically, just wanting to put all my interests under one title, which encapsulated cars and watches and style and travel and food and all that stuff. And it started out as kind of just you know, a necessity because, my job was not around anymore. Like what I had
No.
learned, right? Like the photography world shifted dramatically. The currency behind that tr shifted dramatically. Legacy publishing was kind of eating itself alive. And we decided, great, let's just create our own thing. And that's how W.M. Brown Magazine kind of was birthed out of the necessity of wanting this magazine, like not a digital
Yeah.
interface, real tactile magazine. Wanting it out there for everybody.
Fantastic. And you still publish today. That's still a magazine we can access, isn't it? But you
Yeah.
also have the digital version and the website where we can still access your
Yeah.
travels, your experiences, your journey.
The magazine is exclusively a print object, and then the Substack becomes a slightly more newsy, more topical dialogue that is related to the magazine, but not always the same content. And then, the Instagram and is sort
Yeah.
of me live. And then we have a website that is a homepage for collaborations and other types of dialogue. That website is developing and evolving. That was always something that I wasn't putting a lot of emphasis on in terms of the digital space because I was so
Yeah.
focused on print. And then the Substack is developing as well. Like we're in the process, you heard it here first, of developing a podcast, but something a little bit unexpected within the context of that format.
Okay. And the focus again is travel, design, photography, watches,
Yeah,
lifestyle.
all that good stuff that we love
Yeah.
or the community of us loves and
Yeah.
holds to be important.
Fantastic. Matt, I didn't ask what's on your wrist, and I saw a glimpse of
This
it. It looks amazing.
this is a really, really beautiful reissue of the Hoyer Carrera. Let me see
Oh,
that.
yeah. Fantastic. Yeah.
And that's in 18K, and that's on a strap made by my friends in France called Joseph Bonny. This is a Russian deerskin rally strap that is just so beautiful. They made that for me.
Yeah. Looks so
Um,
comfortable.
yeah, I love this watch. I'm in London. I'm not wearing a watch that's highly recognizable
Yeah.
for the obvious reasons, and I also was just in a car rally race, so I think it was appropriate to wear the Hoyer. So.
Fantastic. Yeah, exactly. And I've been keeping up with you on Instagram and could see the car rally that you took part in. So
Yeah, it was
fantastic.
amazing.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you. Um,
Yeah.
we spoke about publishing, but you've been responsible for some of the the most interesting books on watches. In particular, A Man and His Watch, I think, is a fantastic book. I've given away. Uh, so many copies of that and have to rebuy it myself purely because clients come into my office or friends I see, and they say, well, what's that book? Well, this is a book that tells you about the story behind a chap
Yeah.
or a lady that inherited or bought a watch or was given a
Not
watch.
no ladies. It's a man in his
A
watch.
man and his watch. You're right. Yeah, good
And
point.
the reason that is like I mean, all the women in my life personally, I mean, really didn't give a crap about watches. I mean, including my wife. I mean, my wife likes them as jewelry pieces, but like there's just not the passion. Um,
Will you bring out
I,
a woman and her watch now? I mean, there
I
are
don't think
way more
so.
women into to watches now.
I think the watch community, the women's watch community is just, I mean, it's prolific, right? There's amazing
Yeah.
out there writing and talking and collecting. Um, no, we are in the throes, and this is the reason why I'm a little bit late, of writing the second volume to A Man and His Watch. So
Wow.
A Man and His Watch 2 is almost ready to go, almost done.
Oh, amazing. That's cool. Any sneak peeks as to what will be included?
It's going to be a lot more of those extended stories. And I think, listen, I missed 1,000 stories on the first one. I'll miss another
Yeah.
1,000 stories.
Yeah, yeah.
But a lot of it is still very intrapersonal, and in the people that I really meet or seek out to meet with good stories. So it will be pretty much a continuation of that same format, same intensely good photography that was done by my good friend Stephen Lewis. But we've been kind of traveling all over, well, a lot of Europe, a lot of US, um, collecting those stories and grabbing those images. And we're trying to release it in 2027, which will be the 10-year anniversary of the book. So
Wow. Okay.
I'm under a lot of pressure to get that done.
Yeah, and that's still available on your website and through stockists as well, isn't it? The original book.
Go to your favorite bookstore, go to your favorite site, buy it where you can afford it.
Yeah.
I mean, I get a little piece of the action on the back end, so don't worry about buying it directly from me.
Right. Okay.
I have more of a back end deal with all that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's now I think in like 14 languages that book. So
Wow.
if you need it in Hungarian or Polish or Korean, it's
And it's one of a number of books, isn't it? It's a man in his kitchen is the latest iteration, I believe.
yeah. So we after A Man in His Watch, we did A Man in His Car, which was great.
Yeah.
I photographed that all myself. We traveled around the world for that. That was a huge undertaking. And then the sequel to that was a much more personal journey, which is Man in His Kitchen, which is my kitchen, and kind of growing up in the food world and what all those influences meant to me and how they relate to our farm, which is called the William Brown Farm.
Right.
That's where
Okay.
it calls from. And there were a lot of familial recipes and how we entertain up there. So that became the third in the series. And then I kept pressuring my publisher to do Watch 2. And they never want you to cannibalize the original idea because
No.
particularly something that was so popular and does so well. And I said, listen, there's a lot of great sequels out there. I mean, Jaws 2, pretty good.
Yeah.
Godfather 2, really
Yeah.
good.
Very good.
So
Yeah.
I convinced them that we should start collecting more stories. So here we
Yeah.
are.
And on that subject, Matt, my next question was really around storytelling and the link to the purchase of a watch or around the interest around a watch. Clearly, you've written books on it, but what link do you think there is between the true value of a watch and the story behind it?
Well, you could break it down into two categories. I mean, there will always be this kind of this monetary value because a lot of good watches cost a lot of money.
Yeah,
Um, and I think most of the time they're worth it. Like if you look at brands like A. Lange, which are just spectacularly
amazing. Yeah,
made, it's just a work of art, right? It's just
yeah,
I understand why they cost what they cost. But that doesn't mean that that's the most important watch. I think the most important watch is the one with the most emotional connection or the best story or the one that kind of marks a moment in your life or is special to you, and that could be
Mm.
a Casio F7 or a
Yeah.
Swatch or whatever.
I think
Some
in your first book, Matt, Bill Murray gifted a watch to a waiter, and
yeah, to
the story behind that I thought was fantastic.
yeah, and that's a Timex Indiglo, and
Yeah,
it's one of the most popular stories in the book and one of my favorite. And a very practical gift, right? The
yeah,
lady
yeah,
of the restaurant couldn't tell what time it was because it was so damn dark.
yeah.
And Bill's like, "Well, you try this," and he puts it on, hits the button, and it glows. And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's 10:20." Yeah,
And
it's
that
like,
guy has a story for life now, doesn't he? I mean, that's amazing. How
yeah.
did you get that watch? So, um, I was going to ask you about the watch community. I mean, the fact that I'm sat here talking to you off the back of reaching out to you via a direct message a few weeks ago is a sign that the watch community is thriving and all embracing. What does the watch community mean to you? And do you have an example of it? And don't say the fact you got to meet me today. That really doesn't count.
Um, Well, I think in general, the community that we built off a lot of the kind of lifestyle dialogue that I talk about in W.M. Brown, but definitely in this book, there is a lot of solidarity in that group. And I think what's interesting is building community that is inclusive, not exclusive. And I have a lot in common with people who like watches, and
Mm,
they're normally people that like cars, or they like certain style elements, or they find importance in, the everyday gesture of like checking the time on the wrist. There's a
yeah,
certain mentality. Again, there's like baller versions of that who are just like into flash and money and,
yeah,
representing via the wristwatch. Um, and, I could relate to that as well to a certain extent, but I think the community in general there's a lot of common thread. And will be on the subway and I'll spot a guy with a watch and I'll end up traveling three extra stops just to kind of have the conversation of what that watch is about. It kind of
yeah,
opens doors to friendships, uh, and colleagues, work relationships. I mean, I don't know. It's also a great icebreaker. Like I mean, I'm very good at, spotting watches and being like, oh, tell me about
yeah.
that.
And that's all you have to say, isn't it? And then the conversation
Yeah, and then
ensues.
it's really the car community is a bit like that, but yeah, you don't run into the same kind of car community in a subway, you
No,
know.
that's exactly right.
You
Um,
know.
what watch have you recently purchased? What was the latest thing to join your collection?
Well, it's funny you said that, and I bought it in the UK. I was visiting here not too long ago, a few weeks ago, and a friend of mine, Andrew, that has Time and Tide.
Okay, Andrew McCutcheon. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We photographed a watch of his in Geneva. That was a really fantastic story, and we kind of talked about how it was a watch that kind of set the stage for a lot of things in his life. And it was a Tudor, um, big block, like chrono, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I've had that watch on my wrist, I don't know, a dozen times in a vintage market. And I always was like, never, I didn't quite pull the
Mm,
trigger. And it was something about the the configuration of what Andrew had, like what it looked like, what the bezel was like, and the pushers and stuff. And also, I was very inspired by his story. And
okay.
and I've always been a very big Tudor fan. And he said, "Oh my God, this friend of mine is selling a collection. You should come check it out. I know he has a couple of these big blocks." And
Wow.
there was the same configuration of Andrews with the same dial, same pusher, really, really beautiful example of the watch.
Yeah,
Very, very clean. And I bought it. I was like, I need this in my life. And I've been wearing a lot of it. I brought it back to me with Rome, and I've just been wearing the hell out of that watch. And it's a beautiful object, and it's a great representation of what I love about Tudor. And it actually reads a lot easier than the Daytona for some reason.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
And
there's a,
and they're
there,
so
there-
understated as well, aren't they? A Tudor is
yeah.
such an understated watch and a very comfortable, enjoyable watch to wear. You don't feel like, yeah, it's an
Yeah.
amazing,
I
amazing.
love the way the subdials are arranged on the left-hand side, and mine
Yeah.
has a silver bezel and a stainless bezel rather, and it's just a fantastic watch. I'm very very pleased to have it in my life.
Well, but the five watches that you would have in an ideal world, what would they be, Matt?
Uh, Number one is Rolex Submariner, Rolex Datejust.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, take your pick out of any of those. I think Cartier Tank is key.
stunning. Yeah,
Um, I love I love Casio and Seiko products. So like,
yeah.
take your pick there.
Are you talking Grand Seiko? Are you talking
No,
basic
I'm talking
Seiko, the
like I'm
turtle, or
like
the?
I always travel with a plastic Casio
Great.
that
Okay.
like
Yeah. Cool.
it's my running watch. I bring it to the gym. I swim with it. It's just great.
Yeah.
Like
Versatile.
I would put in that number four category, like G-Shock in that as
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And then, you kind of need that. I think you kind of save your money and buy that one luxurious piece. You
Is that the
know,
Langer for you?
I mean, I don't own a Langa, but I want to own a Langa.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think, I mean, it's a massive amount of money. I know that. But not as much as some watches out there that I don't think
True.
share
Yeah.
the same value for me.
Yeah.
Um, but what is that one kind of insanely precious, well-built, expensive thing, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
is in that five. But listen, I always dance with my dad always said, always dance with the girl you go to the prom with. Okay. And for me, that was Rolex. I mean, my
Yeah.
father wore Rolex. This book sees a lot of Rolexes because it is a brand that was up until a certain point very accessible and was very typical of marking occasions, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I find the current state of walking in and buying watches really obnoxious. I
Yeah.
really
It's crazy.
I
Yeah.
don't like it. But like when my dad felt like his business was being successful and it was representing where he wanted to be in his life, he walked into a Rolex shop and bought that first Rolex, and that's
Yeah.
the one I own of his. And I think I always loved the design philosophy. For many, many years, the design philosophy of the brand. And I love
Yeah.
watches. And I also think in that five, I would throw an Omega Speedmaster in
Good
that
point.
mix.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I own Speedmaster. There was a time where I owned more than one Speedmaster, and I just felt there was a lot of redundancy with the
Yeah.
watch and kind of kept my favorite. I
Such
don't
a
like
versatile watch, though, isn't it? It can be worn with
Yeah,
any strap. It's amazing.
it's
Beautiful.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, so that's how I feel about my, then you start getting really micro with your collection. It's like, that I like, up until recently and have to worry about it. But like, I like gold watches.
Yeah.
I think gold presidents, gold dates, obviously the Cartiers and gold, I think are really kind of great. I mean, particularly you know, if you like to be tan like I do in summer.
Exactly. It does pop
Nice.
off the rest of
It's
it,
a
doesn't
nice
it? Yeah.
flex to have like a
Yeah.
gold watch
Yeah.
on. But yeah, I of course started buying other brands but it's sort of like my wardrobe. It's pretty consistent,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
what I am attracted to and what I end up buying.
Love it. Thank you for that. What excellent answers, Matt. What's the next project for you at WM Brown?
So the summer issue of the magazine is hot off the press. Will be out momentarily. This book, the Man Has Watched Two, will be out next year, and I think this current exploration in the audio podcast world, I think, will be
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. We'll look out for that.
I've explored that for a while, and I just always was a bit jaded. I think the market is quite saturated, and
Yeah.
and I've had a lot of inquiry about doing stuff like that. And I just felt, why don't we try something a little bit different and give it a little push and see. So we'll probably push that out within the next few months, probably after summer. We want to get a few of these under our belt before we launch it.
Fantastic. Matt, I have three more questions. Do you have time for me to ask
Yeah, of
them?
course I do. Sure.
Fantastic, man. Thank you. So I think I think the first question is, who do you admire in the watch world, and why? We meet so many characters. I've got someone in mind right now that has been inspirational to me. I mean, who is that person for you?
Well, I think recently, like, you know, Goldberger, Aro
Same
Montanari's,
guy I had in mind.
yeah, I mean, he's, first of all, he's like the coolest F
Yeah, yeah,
effing human being.
yeah,
We were really lucky to do a big story on him in the magazine. I think his vision and point of view on watch collecting is amazing. I think his
yeah,
personal style is great. He's a great collector. He has a great story. He's incredibly good looking. He ticks a lot of boxes. I think he's a
yeah.
big, and also he's incredibly generous and gentle and
And
thoughtful
gracious.
and
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
great. So yeah, he's my most recent favorite. And also, I really like after this, I'm gonna go meet with Nick Folks. And Nick is just the machine in terms of his knowledge and his skill of storytelling through these big volumes of
mm,
books about watches. I mean, I could never in a million years figure that out.
no,
Um,
no, no.
but as a great historian, brand historian, I think he's really top notch.
Yeah, fantastic guy, and his podcast, his um, Instagram, social media, absolutely full. He is constantly on the move, isn't he? And constantly being an ambassador for the watch world. So
And we both
excellent,
like tobacco, so it's really good.
love it. Um, so if you could give the 20-year-old Matt Hranek advice, what would you tell him today?
The 20-year-old Matt Hranek, who was really, let's say this, let's call him the 23-year-old,
Okay,
because I was living in New York at the time, and I really was in love with watches, and I had my father's Rolex at the time, and I really knew what I was looking at, but I didn't
yeah,
have any money. And I think I should have figured out a way to get some money to buy some of these things that I was looking at. Yeah,
love it.
I
Yeah,
never I
okay,
never had really great financial advisors in my life. Like my mom didn't really, she certainly wouldn't have encouraged buying cars and watches or
no,
she was much more practical, but I saw some amazing things that I didn't buy because I couldn't.
yeah, yeah,
My
yeah,
head, I did the fantasy purchase, sort of like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
imagine. And this was like Daytonas and Nautiluses and, Eagle Beak Rolexes, like weird.
Wow, yeah,
I mean, there was no reference out there. I mean, there was books and there were old geezers who knew what was going on, but there wasn't the internet kind of, and there wasn't Instagram kind of educating people about what was
yeah.
cool out there.
We have
But,
that information at our fingertips now, don't we? Yeah,
yeah, and God, I wish, I really wish, I wouldn't say it's regret, but I just wish that I had the money to buy that Paul Newman that I think it was like 1,500
yeah.
bucks at the
Wow.
time.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
or I wish I bought the Nautilus that was offered to me for like 9 grand, or I wish I bought the Eagle Beak 5512 for 6 grand. I mean, I wish I bought that. You know,
Matt, we're going to depress
at that
ourselves.
point, I actually had the money, but
Right.
I
Okay.
but I was too cheap. I was like, oh man, I could buy another Matt Dial like tropical 5513 for 1,700 bucks. Why would I want to spend 6,000? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, 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 yeah,
So anyway, I think you know, I'm very, very happy with the stuff that I bought over the years. I mean, most of it I couldn't afford to replace. That's why it's like in a safe deposit box.
yeah.
But yeah, I think I had a lot of good instincts that I wish I was able to act on.
You always had the taste by the sounds of it. It's just the ability to purchase that might not have been there as a younger person, as with all of us. We hope to be able to speak to you again. This has been amazing. But
Yeah.
if we don't, I'd like to ask you, what would you like your legacy to be? What would you like to be remembered for, Matt?
Oh, that's such a good question. Well, I think the legacy of my family, I want to be remembered as a kind of thoughtful, good husband and father. Okay,
Cool, man. Yeah, love that.
But I spend a lot of time talking to people, reaching out to people, sharing experience and if you want to call this knowledge. And the people that were most generous and honest and thoughtful with me, I remember as being the most influential in my life. And if I could provide that on some level for some people, I that would make me very happy that to be remembered as somebody that um, could be relied on.
Fantastic. Well, Matt Hranek, thank you so much for your time. It was so kind of you to give us the time you've given us and to
Yeah.
answer so candidly. So thank you, man.
Anytime, Rafa. You call me
Thank you,
anytime.
mate. Thank
Okay.
you.
All
Thanks,
right. See you,
Matt.
brother. See you
Excellent.
soon.
Thank you, mate.
Keep in
See you
touch.
soon.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you, man. Take care. The